And yeah, so we're essentially current students that are studying here, and we're going to be able to tell you all about our experiences and yeah, help answer some of those questions for you. So we're going to do some quick introductions first, so you know who we are and maybe any kind of more personal questions you wanted to ask. So my name is Katrina. I've been at Loughborough for over 6 years now. I did my undergraduate in chemistry. I did a placement year. I then did my master's, and now doing a PhD. So I'm just coming to the end of my first year of my PhD here. So quite a long time here, all at Loughborough, but I've really enjoyed it. And now, Erin, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name's Erin. I've recently graduated from Loughborough doing geography. I also did a placement year, but I'm staying on Loughborough next year to do a master's in climate change science and management.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us. And Ollie, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
My name's Ollie. I'm going into my third year of natural sciences with a focus on chemistry.
Brilliant.
Just my undergrad.
Thank you. So as I said, throughout the session, anyone who's watching, if you want to put any questions into the chat box, we'll be able to see those and try and get through as many of those as possible. I know that this time of year can be quite stressful, quite confusing. You're not too sure maybe what your results are. Maybe you already have some of your results. So we're going to try and help work through that together. So I think the easiest thing to do first is maybe kind of open up and talk about what clearing is, like what is the clearing process, how does it all work? So would either of you like to give me a good kind of explanation of what that process is and what that looks like?
So clearing is essentially all the spots left that people have, like universities have after their like on results day. They'll have certain amount of places free for each course, and you can either, if you didn't quite make your course or make your like course offers from other universities or even the same university, you can release yourself into clearing and try and get onto another course through calling up and letting universities know your grades and what course you want to see if you can be made a clearing offer so you can go to a different university rather than the ones that you previously had offers, whether you made them or not.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's also really important to remember that whole like calling up part. So that's a big part of it. So results day. So when we talk about results day, I guess a lot of time it's sort of focus on A-level results. If you already have your results, you can actually apply for early clearing. So that's something where there's some vacancies that are already available, and you can fill an application form. That is available on the Loughborough University website. So if you have results already, maybe from previous year, you can apply using those to then do a 2024 entry. And yes, so from the A-level results day on the 15th of August, from 8 a.m, we've got like 2 whole rooms full of people who are able to take calls and check your criteria to see if you fit for any of our clearing vacancies, talk to you about maybe some of the courses that you're interested in, pass you through to departments who can tell you a bit more about the course, and that's how you get a clearing offer. So once you get that clearing offer come through, sort of you'll get a verbal clearing offer and then you'll get one by email, and then it's up to you if you want to choose to accept that. But as Ollie said, if you've already got a place confirmed, either with your firm or insurance choice university that's somewhere else or doing a different course, then you'll have to decline that before you then accept that clearing offer that you've been made. So it's always worth making sure you've definitely got that clearing offer before you decline your place somewhere else. You don't want to be in a situation where you think you're going to get a clearing offer and then maybe you don't and you've already declined a place somewhere else. So that's always really, really important to remember. Just going to look through some of the questions that we've had coming through. Can you provide a dedicated phone line for results day? Yes. So there is, if you go to the Loughborough website, if you go to the Loughborough Clearing website, at 8 a.m. or just before, there will be massive written right at the top of the page will be a phone number that you can ring up, and then, like I said, you'll be able to talk to one of our advisors who can then put you through that whole process. You will be able to at that same time see all the list of the vacancies that are available on there. We've got another question come in. if I don't get the results I need to get into the university, is clearing open for the course architecture? So I can't say anything about the exact courses yet. We're not sure exactly which vacancies are available yet. It's simply a case of, once kind of get the results and figuring out what spaces there are available. Like I say, it's really worth, it's 8 a.m. on the 15th of August, checking that website, seeing what vacancies are available. They might be available on the website before that as well. So worth just kind of keeping an eye on that and keep checking that. And then see, okay, is there anything for architecture? You might find that if there's not something for the course you're interested in specifically, then it's kind of looking at others that are available. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm looking through some more questions and things that we say. There's loads who are coming in now. Please keep asking questions. We'll try and get through them as quick as possible. Ollie, I'm going to ask you this question because I know you said that you came through Loughborough as an insurance choice. How likely are you to get accommodation if Loughborough is my insurance choice? What was that process like?
I was really worried about getting accommodation because of Loughborough being my insurance choice as well. But the process is exactly the same as going through where if Loughborough was your firm choice as well. I can't say for certain if it's the same amount of rooms or if you're guaranteed. I can't remember if you're guaranteed or not. But I haven't personally heard of anyone who's had an insurance that hadn't managed to get accommodation at Loughborough. And the accommodation choices are still exactly the same. They include the whole range of accommodation through that you get at Loughborough. You just get given a slot, and you have to log on and choose exactly the same as people who get their firm choices as well. So, like I was very worried about accommodation, but I managed to get the accommodation that I wanted, which was at the Holt, which was an ensuite, self-catered. But yeah, I think if not guaranteed, incredibly likely that you will get the accommodation.
I think the key thing that we say is for firm choice, it is guaranteed. For insurance, it's not necessarily guaranteed within our halls of residence, but most of the time, generally, especially from what I've heard, you do get a place, like you got your place that you wanted. But that's not to say if in a small chance they're not able to offer it to you, they still guarantee to find you some accommodation for while you're living here, so you're not having to commute or go really far. On that topic, oh sorry, go carry on.
I was just say, in the case that there isn't, all of the student accommodations in town that are like private ones are still like reasonably priced and really in good distance of the university anyway. They are still really good. So
yeah, and our accommodation centre has a set list of some of the accommodations that they've kind of vetted and checked, and they know are really good ones. So those are available as well to know you're kind of getting a good house. Erin, on that conversation about accommodation, what was kind of your process for applying? What halls did you stay in? What was that experience like?
So Loughborough was my firm choice, so it might have been a bit more easier to navigate because I just got the email when I got my results. So I remember just going through a form and I selected up to 3. It might have changed now, but I selected up to 3 accommodation options. So you can choose if you want to be catered or self-catered, ensuite or shared bathrooms. So I selected Butler Court, which was self-catered and an ensuite. That was my first choice and I did get it, but you're almost guaranteed a good one of your options, if you select up to 3. You may not necessarily get your first one, but it is likely that you will get one of your selected ones.
Yeah, brilliant. I think kind of when you're working through that list, it's about priorities. Some people, it's I absolutely want to have an ensuite room. Some people, it's I absolutely want to be catered. So it's kind of before you log in for that accommodation process, for that selection process, to have kind of a pre-written list. And obviously we've got all the information about our different halls on the accommodation website, so you can find out everything about what each hall is like, kind of what that atmosphere is like, room types and everything, to know what you're getting. So we had a question about, if I change subjects from my original UCAS application, will I need a new personal statement for the subject to change to? I'm assuming this question is about if you choose a different subject for your clearing choices. So if you might have applied already and then tried to go, and then now you're going through clearing and you're deciding to do a different subject. So the way that the clearing works is it's not like doing a whole new UCAS application. You are essentially getting that clearing offer and you're adding that to your UCAS hub, and that's kind of in the simplest way like the process. So you don't necessarily need a whole new personal statement. It is good if you can get through, maybe talk to the department that you're interested in, maybe talk to them about, and you might be put through to them anyways, as some courses require some sort of portfolio or like a small, like a short interview, as it's kind of called. It's basically a conversation to see like if you really are interested in the subject and making sure that you are the right match for that clearing vacancy. So I wouldn't worry too much about necessarily a personal statement, but make sure that you are, obviously it is something that you do want to do going forward. I think we're going to get this question quite a bit. So Lisa has asked about the process on the day and how it comes. Is it first come, first serve? How these clearing vacancies work? What is this whole process? I know it sounds a bit chaotic. Either of you happy to answer this question?
So on clearing, you can start calling from 8 a.m, which is the day you get your results. And they do, we recommend you calling straight away because the courses do book up. So they will keep spaces open, but people will be calling as soon as they get their results. So we do recommend that if you're not happy at 8 o'clock, get straight on the phone. Someone will be able to pick up straight away and will be able to guide you through the process. But we definitely recommend doing it as soon as possible.
Yeah, brilliant. There have been some other questions, some quite specific questions about people trying to apply for certain courses, not knowing if they're going to be able to get in with the grades they've got, if they've already received their results. If you already have your results, like I said earlier, you can go to that early clearing application form that is on the website. Also, if you're unsure, just give us a call. It's probably the easiest way, is if you can call the admissions team at Loughborough. Or send them an email, kind of explain your personal situation. Unfortunately, we can't kind of look over every single person's situations and their grades and so on. So if you get in contact with us directly about that, then that's the best way to get the right answer for what you need. So if you're unsure about grades, again, it's calling up on that day, it's seeing if you meet what vacancies we have available, it's finding out if we have that vacancy live or not. And yeah, it's one of those things that as the day goes on, they do disappear quite quickly. So it does become a case of trying and get as many clearing offers as quickly as you can, if that's something that you're interested in. We can't guarantee that, you know, if you call back in a few hours, that necessarily that same vacancy will be there. So, you know, beforehand, kind of do your research on these courses. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just trying to look through all the questions that we have. And let's see. So we've got a question about, again, from Jake. So if you get clearing offers from multiple universities, how long do you have to decide to accept which one? Like I said, that's quite a tough decision. Ollie, do you want to take this one?
Sorry, where was the question again so I can read it?
Oh, sorry, it's all right. It's from Jake. So if you get clearing offers from multiple universities, how long do you have to decide to accept them?
Okay, when I didn't get into my firm and I had Loughborough's insurance, I went through and got clearing offers from other universities as well before I accepted Loughborough, just so I had a wider range of choices. So if you get clearing offers from multiple universities, how long? It really does depend on the other universities that you apply to. For example, when I got a clearing offer from Bath, and they were quite adamant that I needed to decide within like something silly like 1 or 2 days whether I want to accept, because you have a certain period of time to accept your offer on UCAS. But it really does. If you get clearing offers from other universities, you need to decide whether you want those or whether you want your insurance or your firm or whatever it is, and then you need to decline those or release yourself into clearing so you can accept those other offers. So obviously, if you have clearing offers, make sure you definitely don't want to go to your firm or your insurance, and you can release yourself into clearing. And then when you have clearing offers from other universities, how long you have to decide is really based on the university. I'm not sure whether Loughborough has a time limit or whether it is just straight up to the limit of when you can accept your UCAS, like how long someone would have to accept a firmer insurance. I can't remember what the time limit is on that.
So yeah, so Loughborough it's 3 days. So we say 3
3 days.
days. So let's say you call up on the 15th of August, so that's considered like day 1. And then you've got until the end of day 3 to then accept and choose that offer. So it is really worth, if you are getting lots of different offers, to, as you say, like kind of check the fine print and make sure you kind of know which days you need to accept or decline which offers. It is a bit of a stressful time. Like I said, it's quite a small time frame, but it's really just to make sure that everyone has the best chance of getting the place and where they want to go. Ollie, very quickly, can you confirm about the ensuites in the Holt? Are they wet rooms or like shower cubicles?
They are all exactly the same, unless you have. There probably is disabled rooms. I'm not sure that have wet rooms, but every single room at the Holt I've ever been in has a shower cubicle. They're all ensuite at the Holt as well. So,
brilliant.
No need to worry
your
about
personal experience from that one.
So good.
Okay. I was also ensuite. It was one of those things that, but it's personal preference, isn't it? So. Okay, this one's a bit more general, I think, about kind of our experiences here, and this was quite a while ago for me, so you guys are definitely going to be better at answering this. What's your suggestions for first year students? So if you could go back in time and tell your first year self, give yourself some advice, what would it be? Well, that's really big. Erin, do you want to start us off?
I guess you'd have to just remember that everyone's in the same boat, so you should just like go chat to that person. If you're feeling that little bit nervous, that could also be doing the other person a favor. There's always going to be someone that's more nervous than you or more excited, so it's just like nice to be friendly to everyone and just give it your all, really. Throw yourself out there, talk to everyone, talk to people in lectures, your accommodation, so many different ways to make friends. So yeah, just make yourself really chatty if you can.
Brilliant. And Ollie, what advice have you got?
My advice would be to take advantage of all of the free stuff that you can do. There will never be another opportunity in your life where you can try so many sports, so many like social activities. Like you will meet so many people in freshers and in your first year. It's just take advantage of everything that you can do. Just do as much as you possibly can. I think it's the best. Like try all of the sports, try all the societies. Got to do everything that you like is included in your freshers itinerary. Just really get involved if you can. I think it's the best way to go about it.
I think that's the best thing. I think it's basically all kind of the same lines of just make the most of it. Like I feel like the whole experience that you get while you're at uni is like you get out, like the more you put in, the more you get out from it, right? So if you go and like try that new thing that you maybe you never even heard of it before you went to uni, but just kind of throwing yourself in there and doing that. But I think another side that kind of gets overlooked sometimes is like giving yourself that time to settle in as well. And that you might I feel like there's this kind of big misconception that you will absolutely meet like your best friends on the first day of uni. That doesn't necessarily always happen. Like that didn't happen for me. It was like a few months in and I started talking to people on my course, and then now we're great friends. Like we still meet up regularly even though most of us have graduated. So it's really just about kind of like giving yourself that time. Like it's such a big adjustment. Like you have to be kind to yourself. There's so much like support that is available to help you through that. And like it will all work out. There are so many people out there. If you, like you guys have said, if you kind of keep putting yourself out there, there's sports societies, there's fundraising, volunteering, like so many different sections to be involved in. It's you can't help but make friends. I find it's one of those places that like as you walk around Loughborough, like I'll be doing anything and I'll bump into so many different people, and it's always like you're just saying hi and meeting people, and it's like, oh, that's so and so who I met from doing this activity, and that's so and so that I met from this, and it's such a lovely like bubble, such a lovely place. So it's making the most of that, isn't it? So right. We got questions again, kind of same kind of theme, start of the year. So how does freshers work? People have already started to see events that are advertised, but they want to know kind of how that works. So either of you want to take that one?
Freshers, it's the general formula is you will you don't have to, but you buy like your freshers like hall subs, so you can get involved in activities that your hall sort of like apply. It's a 2-week period where almost everything is free to do apart from this, like the stuff that you've already paid for with your freshers hall subs stuff. You will get like whole hall things. So for example, the day I moved in, obviously the moving day, and then you get to go to like a punch party, and then you get to go to the student union and go clubbing and stuff. And then on the days there'll be like things organized like rag activities, like at the Holt we had like gardening, and I think there was some people that went to go to the alpaca farm thing, and they like do a little bit of farm labor, and then they get to pet the alpacas. And then there's also like sports activities. There's like the sports bazaar where you get to go like visit, get involved in all the sports, do all of the sports tasters, and then obviously there's clubbing in town and stuff. It's just like a 2-week period where you not only you get to meet everyone in your hall, you get to meet people in other halls. You should meet so many people, you do so many things, and then also it just kind of preps you to getting into that sort of swing of things to start your course as well. Yeah, I think that's mostly it.
Brilliant. If people are wondering kind of the exact dates of that, so the move-ins for halls are spread out across 3 days, because we have so many different halls on campus, and it'd be absolutely crazy if everyone tried to move in at the same day. So the 23rd to the 25th of September, one of those days, your hall will be designated for moving in on that day, and that'll be your arrivals. Yeah, as Ollie mentioned, there's all sorts of different activities. There's nighttime activities, daytime activities. There's like sober activities. Anything to kind of get involved for just everyone and anyone. Towards the end of that week is inductions. So that's when you might have some course inductions. So you might go in, like I know for chemistry, we had like a little mini lab demo that we went and did. We got to meet some of the academics and settle in. And then the following Monday, so I think that's the 30th of September, that's when term time will start. So that'll be your first week. So all your kind of modules will start, your introductions, your first lectures. And yeah, but freshers will kind of carry on through the rest of that week as well. So it's that kind of before you start term, but also that first couple of weeks, lots of things happening. Your courses will tend to do different things as well. Different sports and societies will also host taster sessions and extra things like that. Quick question from Will is it ever the case that courses are completely full? Erin, I'm pretty sure I know you've worked at the clearing centre before. You probably know the answer to this one.
It definitely can be the case. So they will set aside a certain amount of space, but if it's on high demand, then the spaces can fill up. If this is the case for like clearing, for example, if you applied for chemistry, let's say, and these spaces filled up, we can try and find you available alternatives. So maybe there's like some sort of chemical engineering or even like biology if there's spaces, but it is possible that they can book up. Just depends on its demand.
Yeah, and it varies every year. Like we can never say, oh, because last year it was this. It just changes so much, doesn't it? So a very quick one to Ollie from Georgia, which is actually about natural sciences. Does it help to have knowledge about computer coding in the natural sciences degree? Quite a specific one for you.
If you don't have computer coding, it depends on the modules you take. But in first year, I remember there was an analytics and statistics module. I'm not sure if they still I'm not sure if they'll keep the module, but that involved a lot of coding in a coding language called R. You don't need to know R beforehand to pass the module, but that's basically like the only coding I've done so far. But I did biology and chemistry, so not a lot of coding needs to be known. Anything that you need to know that isn't like specific prerequisite knowledge, like especially coding, there's so many resources that they'll like your like lecturers, they'll just give to you anyway. I wouldn't go out of your way to learn coding if you don't know it, especially if you're doing chemistry or biosciences. But I only have experience in chemistry and biosciences, so can't tell you about the other streams.
Brilliant, thanks for that. So we've got some more about kind of the whole clearing process. Again, we're going to keep going back to that, as that's always going to be a big question. There's a question about remarking. So this does come up quite often in the calls that we get. So if you miss out on a grade and you want to remark, you know that maybe you're just off, would Loughborough consider reserving a place? So Erin, do you want to take this one?
I believe Loughborough wouldn't be able to reserve a space, but you can definitely go to remark your grades, and then it could be possible that you can apply to Loughborough in the following year. I'm not sure exactly the time period, so I feel like it may be the year after, but please correct me if I'm wrong. But I know that they probably won't be able to reserve a space just because it's so busy all the time. So it's just easy to book up.
Yeah, and I think if it's a situation that it's that close like that, it's always worth that call up and that conversation. Our advisors are going to know a lot more than we are specifically about those kind of situations and cases. It might be a case where if the remark does change so that you meet the original requirements of your firm choice, then we would honour that place, which means you still get a place rather than necessarily reserving it. But really, yeah, it's on results day, because these are all kind of ifs, buts and maybes. It's seeing, whether we'd be able to honour that or not. Or like Erin said, there's always possibility to then for next year's entry as well. For accommodation as well, we're asked about if you have a accommodation slot on the 16th of August, or you have less choice than on the 15th of August. So the way that the accommodation works is it's split across from the Thursday and the Friday. But those slots, so there's multiple slots on each day, and they're split across. The accommodation that's available is equally split across all of those slots. So if you log in at the start of your slot, and even if it's the final slot on the 16th on that Friday, you will still have the same opportunity to get the same halls as someone who was on the first slot on the Thursday morning. If that makes sense. So there's no detriment to you at all just because you happen to have that slot. You will have every opportunity. It is a case of being really on it. You know, if it says log on at 10 a.m, make sure you are there at 10 a.m and you reload the page if you want the best chance of getting the halls that you want. I think we were all quite lucky. We all got the choices that we first wanted. So it seems like it's really common to get what you want. But like I said earlier, it's worth having that preference list just in case your first choice isn't there, and you can kind of work through your priorities. But there are some halls that have a very similar sort of setup. So there are several halls that are en suite and self-catered. So if you don't get necessarily that one that you wanted, there hopefully be others that are available as well. So, but don't think there's going to be nothing left by the end of it. You'll have every chance to get accommodation as well. So going to try and have a look. We've still got quite a few questions. I do apologize if we can't get through everything. Remember, if you do have specific questions about your grades, anything like that, if you're just not too sure, specific courses, then please make sure that you contact the university, try and contact the admissions team. We don't have all the answers right now, right here as student ambassadors, but thank you for putting your questions through to us. Or just to quickly follow on then from accommodation. So what happens during your accommodation slot? Who wants to take that one? Erin, do you want to take that one as well?
So you'll first get an email saying when your time slot will be. I think mine was like 2 p.m. on Thursday, and then the email will have all your instructions. And I just remember just clicking through the link, and it was sort of a form online, but it wasn't a phone call or anything. And then you just submit your name. I think maybe there's some other more personal details, but then you just submit your 3 or 5 options depending on what it is for this year. But you'll just get all your information on an email.
And that's anything that you need to know would be communicated to you by email. The accommodation website is also really, really good at kind of talking you through how that process is going to look like. I think something new that I wished was there when I was in my first year, this year, I've noticed there's a video on there now. So it talks you through what that step looks like what that form looks like, how you complete it, what information you need at hand. So it's worth having a look at that before your slot, so you're kind of as prepared as you can be. But it's filling out a form on a website basically as you do it. So Got a question about taking a gap year and deferring for a year, and what that process kind of looks like. So I know previously when we've done this, I'm not so sure, I'm assuming it's quite similar to this year. If you get your results and you decide that you do want to take a year out, you can email the admissions team at Loughborough, just email on results day or give us a call, but basically put into writing and say, you know, hi, my name, your UCAS number, like all your details, and say, this is the course of I'm, you know, got my choice, you've got your place for, and say, I'd like to defer for 2025 entry. And then they'll be able to process that and do that for you. So that's usually the simplest and easiest way. If you already know now for sure that you want to take that gap year, that year out, those are conversations that can be had. You can call up, you can send an email. Basically, it's getting in touch with us. So if anyone else is kind of considering that or thinking about that, then that's, if you're sure about that now, that's probably the easiest way to get in touch and to do that. Sorry, Alex, if I missed your question earlier. It's a question about, will the unis give me their offer at the same time, or is there a delay / gap? So what will happen with that is essentially it's more coming from UCAS, is the main place for you to check whether you got into your insurance, your firm. The university will then tend to follow up with a confirmation email to say, like, you know, congrats, you've got a place with us. So, and you'll start to get, you know, accommodation emails and so on. But UCAS is the place, you know, first thing, once you've got your results, or even maybe before you head off to go get your results, to check the UCAS hub. That is what will tell you your results. They will already have got your results a few days before that, so that they can kind of do all that processing and match up to people with, you know, which universities they're going to. And so you will be able to access that from that morning. Hopefully that makes it clearer. So there shouldn't really be a delay if you want to call up at 8 a.m. on that Thursday morning, and also to ask us, you know, have I made it into Loughborough? Can you check? We can't tell you what your results are, but we can tell you if you've got a place with us or not. So that's another way to check. So we know at the same time as well, if that makes sense. Right. I think kind of talking about accommodation, that sort of brought on some questions. We've got some questions specifically about Claudia Parsons, seems to be quite a popular one. A question about what is it like living there, and a question about, is it just for elite athletes? So either of you want to take those kind of questions about Claudia Parsons?
Claudia Parsons isn't just for elite athletes. Like, if you get the place there, you can live there. There is the elite athlete block, which I'm not necessarily sure if it's for people staying there, or if it's more of like a hotel situation, like extended stay hotel situation for elite athletes that train on campus. For example, I think Anthony Joshua stayed there when he trained with us. But Claudia Parsons isn't necessarily any better or worse than any of the other accommodations. I believe it's one of our most expensive accommodations, because it's one of our newer ones, but it's the same. You'll get the same experience of like making friends, like cooking food together, just the halls experience. It's exactly the same as anywhere else you would get that on campus. And definitely don't be upset if you don't get Claudia Parsons because you think it's the nicest accommodation, because it's the newest accommodation. You will end up loving your room that you get. Don't necessarily be upset if you don't get it. Not much else to say on it, really.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, Erin? Maybe kind of like generally about like hall life and what it's like and like meeting people.
So based on my experience, I shared a kitchen. So if you're doing self-catered, the kitchen's a very sociable space. I think I had a kitchen with 5, but my accommodation also shared between 3. So then that just meant I had a bigger kitchen. But that's always quite a nice space because I also had a telly in there. We had a sofa. So they always make the shared areas very nice and sociable. Don't really know what else really. Even just like for your room, a good tip is always like to keep your door open if you're not doing work, because especially during the first few weeks when you're like making friends and being sociable. Because on my very first day, I kept my door open as I was packing, and then someone came up and was like, "Oh, we're going for a walk around campus," and then that was my first sort of interaction. So even just keeping your door open can be a nice start when moving into your accommodation. But yeah, just it's a very sociable space, and it's good to know as well that you also have wardens around your accommodation. So wardens or sub wardens will be available for you all day and night. So if you have any concerns at all, or if you've got a broken kettle that needs replacing, you can just send them an email. We had that and we got a new kettle the next day. So they respond very quickly to you, and they're always there just if you even just need a chat. They're just around anytime for you.
I'm actually a subordinate myself alongside doing my PhD. So yeah, so we live in halls and we support all the students that are there. So it means that like any time of night or across the weekends, if things like a kettle breaks, you know, it happens, any like first aid, fire alarms, even if you're just, you know, a bit concerned about your neighbour or something and you want someone to be able to have a chat with them or have a chat with you, then that's kind of stuff that we do. But that's just part of like the many support services that we have. So across we have like student services, which is where you've got all sorts of things. You've got like counselling, wellbeing, disability support. There's the careers network, which are fantastic if you're looking at getting like a placement or kind of once you graduate and getting jobs, even to get any kind of like part-time roles, they can have a look at your CV and kind of help you with that. And yeah, just so many different services that all come out from there that's basically just to help support students while they're here. So you know, within your department you also get a personal tutor. So personal tutors and sub-wards are kind of like signposting services to get you the right support kind of from student services. But of course, it's really easy to make appointments with them as well. I kind of mentioned finances there, and I kind of mentioned about jobs and roles. I've got a question about how competitive is the student ambassador role? So Ollie, do you want to take that one about kind of becoming a student ambassador and the role?
My experience so far with being a student ambassador is I first did the open days. Generally, they're always looking for people to help out on open days, so that's how you can kind of like get in, get your foot in the door, sort of thing. But you generally at the start of the year they'll send out a application form, and you fill in this application form like why you want to do it, a couple like contact details about you, and send it off. I very stupidly did not send my application. I thought I'd send it in, but I didn't. But if they because they knew me from the summer visit days, I still managed to get my application, still managed to do student ambassador things. So I don't necessarily think it's competitive. If you show that you want to do the role, then generally you will be successful in getting the role. There's also not just the general student ambassadors. You can be a ambassador for your course as well. So help out on like the specific course visit days and things. You generally just ask your your course leader or whoever the head of your department is about that. Yeah, generally if you're interested and willing to do the work, you shouldn't really have any trouble getting the job. In my experience, anyway.
Yeah, and usually it's one of those things that those applications tend to come out in October, so it's quite early at the start of the year, so a lot of people end up missing that application. So it's kind of getting that ready. Open days are a great way, like you said, to see if it's something that you want to do, if you enjoy doing it. That's kind of like our all hands on deck time. But that gives you a good insight if that's the kind of role that you want to do. But of course there are lots of other part-time jobs that are available. So our catered halls, a lot of staff working there are students. We've got a couple of hotels on campus as well, so you can work there, some shops, working at the Students' Union, for example, so there's lots of opportunities to kind of get a little bit of extra cash to help support you while you're at university. Going back to accommodation again, about kind of finding out what accommodation you get with a slot. So Lucy asked about when you log on and you you go into your accommodation slot and you're on the website and you fill in that form, do you know what you've got then, or is that later on? So generally right there, you will know which hall and which room type that you managed to get, because it's whatever you've been able to select. If it's unavailable, it will tell you it's unavailable. So it's whatever you've been able to kind of submit and get. You won't find out exactly which kind of flat and which room you're into. You won't find that out until I think it's a couple of weeks before you move in. Or sometimes people will kind of only really realize on the day, oh, I'm in, this block in this room. So yeah, so that's always worth noting. Generally, if you put certain requirements in there, so whether that's for like a disability or whether you specifically request a quiet room, anything like that, that will all be kind of taken into consideration once you've booked onto that slot. So that lets you know which hall and type, and then you will know your specific room a little bit later. Again, we've got some quite specific questions coming through about people's individual grades, whether they drop a grade. We've got a question about sports application processes, all of these sorts of things. These are things that we can't necessarily comment on because, again, this is your situation. So the best thing that you can do is to send an email to the admissions team. For the sports application, it might be worth getting in contact with Loughborough Sport to see if they can help you or assist you in any possible way there. In terms of dropping a grade, again, the best thing you can do, obviously, you only really know on the day. I know it's really hard right now because you just don't know. And it's easy to think worst case scenario. I definitely was. I was really dreading the same thing happening. But if you can call at 8 a.m. or as soon as you can, or as soon as you got those results, if it doesn't work out, I really hope it doesn't, but if it doesn't quite work out the way that you hope, still give us a call and we can talk through some options. So it could be about maybe applying for next year's entry, maybe retaking one of those A levels, whatever that kind of looks like, we can talk through those options and obviously talk that through as a sort of case by case basis. So yeah, on results day, the best thing you can do is try and give us a call, and we will, we'll be on hand to get you those answers for your specific case. So, and we've got a question about who do you call on results day at Loughborough to find out if I have a place. So that phone number will be available. So that will be on the clearing website, but that same number will be able to direct you through to someone who can confirm whether you've got a place here or not. So it's about calling up nice and early. If you check on UCAS Hub will be the most up-to-date one. That one will definitely tell you first thing in the morning where you've been placed, so whether that is your firm or your insurance. But I appreciate that sometimes it's a bit of a pinch me moment, and you are more than welcome to call us up to say, just to check, just to be sure that you've got your place if you have with us. So always worth doing that as well if you'd like. And let's see, sorry, just going through some more questions. Feel free to keep asking them as we go along. We've got another sort of like 10-15 minutes. So we'll try and get through as many as we can. Again, very specific questions we unfortunately can't get through. We won't be able to answer for you. Sorry, I'm just trying to read like so many questions all at once. Do personal statements get re-looked at to decide if you get in if you don't achieve grades? So the process that happens when we get results is quite complicated. Ultimately, that is up to the department. So whatever they say stands. And unfortunately, like that's something that is out of our control. So they will look at your results. They will look if they're, if you're able to match it up. They will look at your personal statement. But ultimately, I guess, especially at somewhere like Loughborough, we have such a reputation that we try not to like concede our grades too much. It's something that, we want to keep that high caliber. And it's something that unfortunately we might not be able to. Each year it changes as well. It depends on, again, like how many applications, how many students, who's like, how many have been successful. But I can assure you that everything would have been looked at. So personal statements, any kind of personal situations that have been going on, that would have all been considered. So unfortunately, when that result comes out, then that is final. We've just got another one come in about the support and information provided after you accept a Loughborough, after you accept an offer. Ollie, do you want to go through this one with what you got?
I can't quite remember all of the information I was sent. I remember I got my like golden ticket through the mail that said I was going to Loughborough, which was quite lovely. And I got my like acceptance email. Got my accommodation and stuff. I think this was like almost 3 years ago now. I can't remember how much information was necessarily sent to me after I accepted my offer. But once you get there, once you get to university and you've got you're at Loughborough and you've got your accommodation and stuff, there's so much support and information around you anyway. I mean, you've got the student support service, you've got your personal tutor, you've got your like sub wardens and your wardens for all of your problems like in your accommodation and stuff. And obviously you'll have like other people around you just as a support network anyway. I think just all of the support and information that you need is just provided to you when you move on campus, really. If you do have information or if you do have specific support that you need, calling up the university, like either on the clearing day, results day even, or just calling up the university in general to get the information that you need. If it's any specific information you need, it's quite easy. Like everyone is so helpful. So yeah, that's not much more to say on that, really.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add to that, Erin?
Again, mine was 4 years ago, but I'm reasonably confident that I also then got an email from my department. So Geography and Environment, for my case, sent like a welcome email. But for myself, I actually then turned a lot to like Instagram and stuff. So I started following like the Loughborough Instagram and like Loughborough Students' Union, just to like sort of, not necessarily if it was directly information for freshers, but I just like had a little look to see what types of things that went on, like my accommodation Instagram as well. But if you had any like general questions for your accommodation, there are, as a team, like called a committee where like past students or freshers and stuff, they run an account and stuff. So even if you had any like general email messages, you can just contact them on Instagram just for other information. But from probably around August, maybe all these accommodations will probably start advertising like their freshers events and stuff. So quite a lot of your information may start to go on Instagram and stuff for like student events.
Yeah. And I think like social media is kind of the biggest thing of kind of getting to know people, even like before your block. Like the week before when I found out, I was in this block, and then in the group chat managed to find out who else was in my block and got to kind of chat beforehand. So that was really nice. And yeah, all these kind of big like group chats where people start to join and get to know each other and know kind of exactly, you know, what events are going on. Are you going to this? Like, does someone want to go to the, you know, like these trials with me for a different sport? So yeah, there's loads of support information. The other thing that I got as well was I got contacted about a bursary that I was eligible for before I joined the university, and kind of invited me to like apply and to see, you know, and kind of go through that process. So that was even before I started. So that's something that you might get contacted about, especially if it's specific to your school or your department, like mine was. But it's also worth, I guess, beforehand maybe checking that additional support that's available, going through the website, seeing, you know, if there's anything that we can support you with. Feel free to reach out. We will do our best to reach out to you to support you with anything. Ask if there's any kind of additional requirements that you might need. But you know, try and keep up with all the emails that you will get sent in that time, whether it's about accommodation or, you know, student services from your department. It's all going to be really important information, and just everything to kind of hopefully put your mind at ease while you're here. So going to very quickly cover some more. So we've only got a few more minutes. So if there's any kind of last like burning questions, try and get them in now. We will try and get as many answered as possible. Erin, if you want to very quickly explain what an accommodation slot is again for Andy, just to make it clear so everyone knows this whole accommodation process.
Sure. So I think quite a lot of this is to stop website crashes and stuff. But when you like know you've got your place, you'll get an email telling you what time you can book onto your accommodation. So it will just say, I don't know, maybe it'll be from 2 till 3. I'm not quite sure on the time frame you have, but that'll be the time you're able to log in. You won't be able to do it before or after. So if you miss your time slot, I'm fairly sure on the email it will say like, if you miss it, like contact them. So basically it's just a time that you're able to log on, it'll be specific to your course. So you'll be able to do it with your course. At least that's what it was for me. And yeah, it's just the time that you'll be able to select your accommodation choice.
Brilliant, thank you. And Ollie, earlier we talked about societies and sports and different things to get involved. So Georgia is asking, how do you join societies?
So in Freshers Week, there will be a sports bazaar and a societies bazaar, which are held basically one day after the other. I think the sports bazaar is first and then the societies bazaar. Basically, it'll be held in, I think, the Sir David Wallace Sports Hall, which is this massive sports hall. There'll be loads of tables around with every single society and every single sports club. You'll be able to go up, see what they're about. You can like sign up. There'll be like QR codes you can stand to sign up online or sign up on the table. They'll be offering like tasters for sports. Almost every single sport will offer a free taster or multiple free tasters. And then for societies, there'll be like free sessions you can go along to. I think, for example, like LSU Rock, they do like a pub quiz or something like that you can go along to that's free, and then there'll be just join and sign up there at the free things and at the bazaars and stuff. And then if you decide after the freshers period, I do actually really want to join the society or the sports team, you will be able to go on to the LSU website and pay for your membership. The memberships for societies and sports clubs, they vary depending on what sports club you do. For example, boxing will be a different price to rowing. But for sports, there is a sort of bursary that you can get that allows you to get involved in sports. They will essentially pay for your membership if you meet certain requirements. So if you can't afford to join in sports, you still have the opportunity to like through this bursary. So if your sport is particularly expensive, you still can get involved, sort of thing.
Brilliant, thank you for all of that. Caroline, I'm going to apologise. I have seen your question come up twice, and we were just double checking on what that is. So you were asking about if you're not in the country on results day, if someone could call on your behalf. So generally we want to talk to you yourself about it because it's your application. Obviously that's quite confidential, and making kind of decisions for yourself. I would send an email, and so anyone else who might be out of the country or might be kind of international coming to the UK, I would send an email to try and clarify like what other options are available for that, whether you can pre-arrange for someone to call on your behalf, if you need to find a way to be able to call. So I would email and get in contact, as they'll be able to help with that specifically. So hopefully that helps. Question about sports. Obviously Loughborough Sport, big S word. But is it free to use sport environments like our gyms and other facilities? So Erin, do you want to cover this one?
Unfortunately, joining a gym at Loughborough won't be free. So there's different, like they call them like tiers of membership. So if you want to pay for Powerbase, it is the more expensive one, but it also gives you access to this other gym on campus called Holywell. It also gives you access to the swimming pool and fitness classes. But if you didn't want to pay that, the access to Holywell only is a bit cheaper. But some of the stuff that you can use for free are things like My Lifestyle, which is where you can go and play sports that are on a schedule, and you can just go play with them, with random people that you may not have met before. Also, you can join teams like in this league called Social Sports. So you can either join with your department or you can make a team with your friends. All these are, you may have to, for the social sport, you may have to pay a deposit, but you will be able to get that back at the end of the year. But all the gyms will come with the price. But some of the sports, especially if you want to get involved with your hall department, will be free. But if it's outside of that, like as Ollie was saying about boxing and stuff, then they will have additional costs.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's always worth noting that it's like it's kind of two sides to it. So like it's Loughborough, and the facilities that you get are going to be some of the best in the world. So obviously it's worth paying for, but at the same time, it actually works out the same, if not actually maybe sometimes slightly cheaper than if you were to go to a gym in town. We've got quite a few different gyms that are in town as well. So like a lot of the like the big branded ones, but also some like smaller independent ones. So there is a whole mixture to choose from. But the ones on campus are most convenient. And they work out at like a really good price each month. It's worth going to the website and seeing exactly what that cost breakdown is, and what that membership looks like. The other thing with like the Holywell or the Powerbase membership is it gets you discounts on booking other facilities as well. So I've done it before where I've booked a badminton court and it made it much cheaper because I already had a membership for Holywell Gym. And it's just little things to make it, you know, really, once you get a group of friends together and you split the cost, it's hardly anything really to be able to use some of the best facilities in the world. So it's always worth it. But have a look if you want to see exactly what those prices are and kind of the breakdown of that for students. So just a couple more minutes. I'm going to try race through some more of these questions before we wrap up for you guys. Anything that you recommend bringing to university that students usually forget? I'm going to say one of the first things I went to Sainsbury's for when I first got here, other supermarkets are available, was getting what they call pins, like thumbtacks and pins, because I think pretty much all the student accommodation have like a massive pin board. So when you get in there and you want to put up like photos, you want to put up like the map of campus, a calendar, like whatever it is. And that was like the first like priorities, was to get obviously food and other things as well. But I was like, I want to make this room feel like my own room. So if you can already have that ready, if you've already got like photos printed and you have that ready to go, then you can just start decorating and make it yours. So Ollie, do you want to give us something that you might forget, something that's really important to bring?
I also forgot push pins, and the trek from the Holt to Tesco's for the first time was daunting. I also forgot batteries for all of my lights and stuff in my room as well. That was just something that was super inconvenient. And what else did I forget? If you are someone that takes notes in lectures, it's rather than writing on a laptop, someone who takes physical notes, you will run out of notebooks quicker than you think that you will run out of notebooks, and you'll just lose pens everywhere. So yeah, definitely we have what I write: batteries, push pins, and notebooks. I just ran out of. I just didn't have them.
Erin, what would you recommend bringing?
The first thing that comes to my head is an extendable lead. We had quite a lot of plugs in my accommodation anyway, but I feel, especially for second year, quite a lot of the plugs aren't necessarily near your desk. So it's quite handy, even if you have like your own chair you want to bring to campus, but it's not close to a plug. It's quite handy to just bring an extendable lead.
Yeah, I invested in like a 3-meter charging cable. So it sounds really lazy, but so I could plug my phone in and like lie on the other side of my bed while still like, yeah, charging my phone and using my phone. So just anything like that, anything that's going to help like make your life easier, that's going to make your room feel like yours. You know, you might get there and initially realize that, you know, oh, could have brought that, should have done that. But it's so easy to order stuff nowadays that actually you don't necessarily have to go like trekking to Tesco or whatever. Like we've got I think it's like 3 Amazon lockers on campus as well, so it's like scarily easy to get stuff ordered and have it literally right the next day for you. Very quickly, we had a couple of questions about sports scholarships. Best thing to do is go on the website, and there'll be contact details on there if you have specific questions about that application. It should be able to guide you through that. I don't know when the cutoff for that is. The best thing is, like I say, go on the website, get in contact, and ask us about kind of your specific situation for that one. And there was a question about accommodation for second year. So someone is really planning far ahead. So for your second year, guys, like what did you do for your accommodation? Like how early was that sorted out? How did you find that whole process?
I signed my contract for my second year house at the end of November. But I would honestly, I wouldn't rush to do it. Don't get a house with the first people who say, let's get a house together. Don't rush into it, because you can end up not like, if you sign a house at the end of October, you might not like those people in a couple months time and have to live with them for the next year. So definitely don't rush into things, and you have all the time in the world to get a student house. Like, there are not necessarily the best houses. For example, I didn't sign my student house for third year until 2 or 3 months ago, which is considered extremely late, and I still got quite a nice house. So definitely don't think that you have to sign immediately for your second year house. I don't think it's competitive in Loughborough as it is in other places, like around the country, for university houses at all. Erin?
Mine's actually got later as the years have gone on. In second year, mine was October, so ours was very early. But this year we actually did it in Easter time. So yeah, there was still an abundance of spaces. I guess towards the end of the year, there was like as the years have gone on, because I've done it later, they've kind of gone a bit more expensive, because obviously the cheaper ones normally go a bit sooner. But again, I still got a reasonably good price for mine. So again, loads of time.
Yeah, there is so much. I know someone who is still right now like looking for somewhere for September. And like she's getting a contract signed up and everything. So it really, you can leave it that late. So for me in my second year, I was gonna move out into a house, and then things just kind of like fell through with the landlord and everything. But I had already applied for halls to go back in for my second year, and that was a really good backup, because it meant when things didn't quite work out there, I always had like the halls as a backup option. So there is the option to go back into student accommodation. So that's what I did for my second year, and it just kind of gave me that like safety net that I was going to have somewhere to live for that next year. But you can do that in any stage across that. You don't have to rush into it. One of the facts I like to say is there's actually more student accommodation available than there are students to take it in Loughborough, which you might not expect in a town like this. So no need to rush. There will be lots of accommodation available and people to talk you through that process as well when you get to it. I am conscious that we are at 7 o'clock, so we are going to have to wrap things up. Thank you so much to everyone for putting your questions in, keeping us nice and engaged, keeping us on our toes with some difficult questions as well. Of course, like I said, there are some really specific case-by-case questions and situations that we simply can't answer. And of course, you might go away from this and think, oh, I should have asked that question, I'm not too sure. Scrolling along the bottom right now is an email address where you can send emails and we will redirect and make sure you get the best possible answer that you can for those questions. As I said, we're not necessarily the best to answer those as student ambassadors, but of course, if you have questions specific for students, you can ask that as well, and we can get in contact to give you those answers. But anything to do with results clearing, applications, accommodation, whatever that might be, even if it feels like a really small, silly question, please send us an email and we'd be really happy to help you out with that one. So thank you again to everyone for joining us. Thank you to Erin and Ollie for helping to answer the questions. So not doing it all on my own. You guys have been really, really great, really helpful. I hope everyone's enjoyed the session, and I hope you all have a good evening. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.